Welcome back to Ancut and welcome back to another industry interview. This episode is a continuation of the companion interview series we have going on, so make sure to check out the previous episodes we did down below in the description box. Today we are interviewing Sasha Grossman, who is a returner to this channel. We previously interviewed her for the Smile 2 movie. This time around, we wanted to get really technical on what it truly means to be a makeup artist, know the ins and outs of the industry, unions, makeup kits, etc. So if you love makeup, this episode is for you. Without further ado, here is Sasha Grossman.
My name is Sasha Grossman, and I'm a makeup artist working in New York and LA, and I'm here to talk about Companion.
Perfect. So going kind of right into it, I know I wanted to be a little bit more technical on what it's like actually working as a makeup artist. So one of the first
Absolutely.
things I wanted to know is, you're one of the first people an actor sees when they arrive on set. That's what they're first sent to is hair and makeup. So I'm curious, how do you go about trying to foster any sort of like relationship with them or like a trusting relationship? Because you get right up in there. So I want to know kind of what your process is.
Well, so it's really it does mean so much. Like I've often had actors like throughout the course of a show or at the end just be like, it is really important this time in the trailer. Like you see they see it as kind of a haven for them, and you're the first person they see right before they go and become that character and go out into like step into the world on set. And you kind of have to really be there for them in a way that is one of my favorite things about the job. And what I usually try to do is there's either in the beginning of a production a camera test or hair and makeup test or at least a one-on-one meeting. So for on Companion, for instance, we got the actors, we got Sophie and Jack in a few days before we started shooting, because what we had to do is actually take some romantic, like coupley photos with them to make as their phone backgrounds to then use throughout production. So that sort of accomplished the meeting them, the trying out their look, and then immediately hopping into this fun world of like getting to see them as their characters interacting with each other for the first time, even before we start principal photography. So what I always like to do is I'll reach out to the actors beforehand. I'll see if, first of all, like what's their skin like? Do they have any irritation? Are they allergic to anything? Do they have any specific products that they like to use? And usually that's one way in for to learn like a little bit about them, see how they talk about themselves, see if there's anything to flag, like, oh, they really want this product or they're allergic to this type of thing. So it gives you like a jumping off point. And then when you actually get to meet them in the room and you do your first kind of trial, it's a nice way to kind of feel out. You try to set the scene. We usually like to play music or we have a candle, and it just makes a very kind of calming space. And I'll always love, I think skincare is like the most important first step in makeup. It's like if you do good skincare, you have your canvas. And so my thing is I love putting skincare on and doing kind of like the jade rollers or doing a face massage. And our joke with actors sometimes they're like, it's like you're imprinting with them. It's like a little duckling. You're like, oh, I'm doing this to you, and we feel a connection now because it's so intimate in so many ways. So when you feel like you actually you take them in your hands in more ways than one, and it's like you create this safety and this space together where it kind of sets up the whole show for that. And so in the trial phase, you then realize like, okay, what's our day-to-day going to look like? How do you like? Do you like to be quiet in the morning? Do you come in with headphones? Do you want us to play music? And, sometimes people will want like that really nice beginning of the day, like face massage, skincare, like really taking it slow. And sometimes they want to come in and get ready as fast as possible so that they have more time to sleep in the morning. So either way, I respect anything anybody wants to do, but it's those first steps of talking a little bit about character, talking about personal preferences. It's a mix of you speak to them almost like themselves and their character, and you find out what you take from each.
Wow. Because I always thought it was so interesting because you learn who the actors are well before you meet them. And so
Mhm.
sometimes like you can, see a picture of an actor and you can make different assumptions. So I was like, I always find it interesting just trying to foster that relationship, even though at the beginning it might be sort of parasocial, especially if you see them in other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is really interesting. And it's nice that you can create a sort of like relaxing environment for them. That seems very nice.
It seems like
So important.
that's when I'm gonna
Right.
sleep.
It's so important. You want to just, it's such a trusting space that you really want to make sure it feels that way through the entire time. Because that's like their home. It's their home away from home. It's the place that you spend, aside from being on set doing the scenes, you spend your most time in the makeup trailer.
So going into some of like the brands and products you use, you mentioned how you ask for different things that the actors might use or be comfortable with, but what are kind of your go-to brands? What is like always in your makeup kit?
So I came up in, I used to work at Sephora. I worked at Lush, that soap store back in the day. Like I love learning about everything and I love skincare because like I said before, I think if you set your actor up with a good skincare regimen throughout the movie, it maintains their skin. Because think about, they're under hot lights or they're in crazy elements every day. So the better you can treat the prep process of the makeup application, the more you're looking out for them and yourself. Like I'm always like, this helps me too. Like me taking off your makeup at the end of the night and giving you skincare before you go home is also like a little bit of a treat for me for the next day. Cause I'm like, we just know that you're taken care of. You can go home, you can go to sleep and you're just already set. But I always love products, skincare and makeup that, or especially with makeup side, that have a skincare component to it. So I love brands like Kosas or Ilia, anything that typology that has products that are double duty. So like for instance on Companion for Iris's skin, we wanted it to be so flawless because she's the robot. It has to be you don't want it to look like makeup. We wanted it to almost look like it was like a Barbie face, right? Like it was just part of her. So it was really important to pick skincare that would look like skin, but so much better. So I used a lot of this brand Typology, that's an amazing French brand, and they have these serum foundations. So it's skincare mixed in with the color. So it's like creating this beautiful finish, but it's also throughout the day keeping you really hydrated and not settling into fine lines and not kind of caking up. Especially because we were at the time shooting in the summer to begin. And then I know Jeremy's probably spoke with you. We came back up in the winter. So I needed something that would work in all elements. So Typology had these great serum foundations, but also these concealers that have caffeine in them. So they kind of wake up your skin, like they're beautiful under the eye and everywhere. And they kind of take care of you while you're wearing them. So pretty much any products like natural beauty or clean beauty, we call it, like has come so far since it first sort of came onto the scene. I remember working at Sephora when I was in college, and clean beauty, I felt like was just starting. And it was so limited in terms of like color and different product type and like shades and what you could sort of expect from it. But now it's incredible. There's even just full stores that sell nothing but clean beauty. So I pretty much love like any skincare and any makeup that is not just doing one thing. Like I like that it has multiple jobs and it works for you across the board.
Kind of jumping off of that, do you have to bring all of your own things? Does anything get provided for you? Any tools or anything like that?
Yeah, so how it works is we have our makeup kit, and that's what we'll get paid to bring. It's called a kit fee. So depending on what size of project, like per the union, we'll have our contract, and that'll dictate the budget of the film and usually like how things kind of get broken down. But the kit fee is one thing that you always have some flexibility to negotiate on. Obviously, on a lower budget film, your kit fee is going to be smaller, but any member of the makeup team that comes to work gets a kit fee for the day. It just becomes, it's kind of divvied out depending on the position. So there's a kit fee for department head, there's a kit fee for key, there's a kit fee for the additionals. So they always do pay you to bring your kit because unlike other jobs, our products actually diminish as you use them. There's so many jobs on set where they bring,
Right.
they get paid rentals, And what's great about that is that means they get to slowly pay off their their items, but they remain intact. Whereas with us, we bring something and if we use it, it depletes. So the kit fee is to sort of
Mhm.
create the ability to replenish your own kit throughout. And it's the understanding and the appreciation that like your tools go away over time. And so that's put there for you for protection and to like make sure that if, you know, something spills, like you can replace it and things like that. But so you'll bring kind of your main kit and then you'll usually then get a budget for the department, like that, you know, like how much money you have to spend for the whole duration of the movie. And you decide what things to spend it on. And usually that for us is setting up your trailer. You know, you want to get all these things that you don't think of that you have to spend money on, like Q-tips, uh, tissues, any
Mhm.
little like creature comforts that you just need for cleanup or for to have in the trailer. It's like all these things that add up, but that you don't want to necessarily bring because that's not part of your makeup kit. Like that's something that you order to stock the trailer. So then there's that budget, and then we have separate, which is the actor requests. So if an actor comes in and says, I really like these eye patches, like can we get these? Or I love this pot of $300 moisturizer. You're like, okay, that's a different budget. You know, and so then really make sure that you have everything like together that everyone could need. And that's sometimes actors are like they have no requests. Sometimes they're like, oh, you know, just whatever, me's like whatever you want to bring. And sometimes someone's like, you know, I just learned about this product. I think it would be perfect for this. And then you get excited, especially if it's something you haven't heard of before, to get to use for the first time. And sometimes that could also then create a look that you wouldn't have necessarily chosen, or it can build into the character. Like on Companion, one of the things that Sophie really likes is the Charlotte Tilbury pillow top lip liner. So I've got that, and that ended up, it was such a beautiful color that I was like, great, this is part of the lip. Like, let's make this the base of the lip color and then add other components into it to make it that perfect color. But this is a jumping off point.
So in film, there is always like new lenses, new cameras coming out. There is new equipment coming out. But I feel like with makeup is even more so. Like there is always new makeup coming out and makeup being discontinued. How do you have like your go-tos that you will forever try to get that specific brand, or do you try to keep it updated, I guess?
So there are a couple, you know, there's obviously things that are like tried and true that I absolutely love. Like ever when I discovered the Youthforia line, especially the concealers are so beautiful. I even used them on my last movie that I did as well, just because it creates such a nice finish. But then because there's so many things coming out every day, I love experimenting with it because you never know the technology is constantly changing. People are figuring out crazy new kind of components. Valerie, who's my key, like she knows so much. She is like a product fanatic. So we always like look at the updated things and we pick a few things that we want to try out. We'll go like feel everything at Sephora or Ulta, like, you know, even on, I remember on Smile, we would go every weekend. We'd talk makeup all week, but every weekend we'd meet up and we'd drive to Ulta and we'd go like try everything for, you know, an hour just because it's fun. And we always love kind of educating ourselves on all those new products. And, you know, there's so many new innovations. Like right now, they make eyelashes that you put on under the lash, and that creates like a whole different natural look instead of just sitting on top of the lash line. It could be a little cleaner of a look. So especially when there are characters that you want to give them a little bit more oomph, but you don't want it to look like they're wearing any fake lashes. Like that's a new innovative sort of makeup technology of creating a different, like the same effect, but with a different tool. But I mean,
Wow.
I the
Yeah, I all those
sorry, I
different
think there
products.
might be a little delay on the.
No, I was just saying, like, I can't imagine, like, kind of dealing with how many different things are coming out, but also how advanced things get. And how, yeah, you definitely have to take your time in the store to try them out. because obviously you don't want to spend your money on something that potentially might be a flop. So yeah,
Exactly.
that is very. Mhm.
I mean, I've pretty much learned that the things that I love working with are usually like cream eyeshadows are always a little bit more forgiving and they look like part of the skin. So anything in the cream family, like I love Ilia, I love Rare Beauty, I love like anything that you can sort of, it's almost painterly. Um, things like that,
Mm.
just things that you know you like and then looking within that world. So I love kind of one step things too, like eyeshadows that are multifaceted. So as you put them on, it almost color shifts. Like the shadow I used on
Mm.
Sophie for Iris, it was just one eyeshadow, and it was this stick from Laura Mercier, and it was incredible because I was like, realistically, because of her character, we want it to be a very noticeable and specific look, but it's not going to be, like an Instagram influencer makeup with like 8 different products on her eye. I'm like, it's one color, but it's this beautiful color that kind of will move with her and look like multidimensional, but it's believable for that kind of classic, Barbie face of like one color across the lid, lashes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So because of she's a robot and there is so much beauty in this movie and beauty makeup in this movie until there isn't, it starts getting gory, it starts getting bloody, starts getting a little muddled. And how do you find an approach to keep that balance between her being like this perfect skin, but also just becoming this monster and trying to show the state of mind, I guess.
Yeah, well, that was such a fun challenge specifically for this because there was a period of time where, we designed her look. Like I was like, this is kind of an homage to the 50s, 60s, like antiquated look for her specific model of robot. Because we talked a lot, like me and Drew Hancock, our amazing director, and Vanessa Porter, our costume designer, and Joshua First, the hair department head, about what kind of a look Iris will have. And it sort of all came together perfectly for her look is really through the gaze, like through the male gaze of Josh, of Jack Quaid's character. So like what would Josh do if he made his ideal woman? And it sort of was this perfect homage to this antiquated, like a little bit housewife, a little bit Stepford wife, like very kind of innocent, like fresh faced, but very deliberate and from kind of a bygone era, but that still looked believable in this day and age because it almost looked like, she had a little bit of a flair, like she had the feline flick for the liner. And it's like that's a very popular look now too. And depending on how you look at it, it could be contemporary and it could be like an old timey, a more old reference. So something that we decided after we established like that was going to be her face and her makeup look, Drew and I were talking about the script, and there's a moment when she is in the shower, and it's like she's in the shower and she gets out and she kind of wipes off the mirror and you see her face. And I was like, so I'm wondering what we want to do. Like, do you envision that her makeup is always on, or that it's something like, she puts on herself? And we sort of had this aha moment of being like, oh, it never comes off. Like, that's the kind of person that also Josh's character would be, is that she always looks this way. There is no like stripped down to basics, like that is her factory reset, like she always looks perfect, it's almost like a stamp. And so we created this moment where we kind of we knew it was going to be very funny at first when audiences saw it because they'd probably be frustrated with us, like, why is this woman in the shower and her makeup is still perfect? Like, I hate movies, I hate when they do this to us and everything is not realistic. And I was like, no, it's gonna make sense later. Like, it's gonna stay on here, and then when it's the reveal, you're gonna be like, oh my God, that's why it didn't come off. And that was a really fun kind of nod also to just kind of being playful with the audience as well. Because I mean, how many times have we seen a movie where someone wakes up with 2 sets of false eyelashes on and lip gloss, and you're like, no. And this would be the world where she does wake up that way. She does have makeup on in the shower, and there's a reason. So that was something that we knew that even when she gets covered in blood, even when she gets covered in dirt, if she scrubbed her face, if she scrubbed her body, everything else though underneath it would still stay perfect. And so that was a fun jumping off point to be like, oh, because there are a few moments during the movie that she resets, like after she kills Sergey and she comes back and she's covered in blood. When they tie her up, she's clearly been like washed off, and we were sort of imagining it like Lucas Gage's character like cleaned her, like helped clean her, but obviously her face was still perfect. And then it's just this image of what would feel so surreal is having her run through the woods and go through all of these insane circumstances, and she'd be covered in dirt and covered in blood. There would be nothing coming from her that would add to that. There's not sweat, she doesn't sweat. There's not those normal indicators that you
Yeah.
would normally have there to show humanity. It would just be things that get put on her that are not from her.
And I feel like I kind of noticed that with the other
Yeah.
robot actor as well.
Mhm.
There was always like something off about him, and then the reveal came up, and it was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and even when I was watching the trailer, I knew something was wrong with the whole like candle hand
Yeah.
thing. I knew something was definitely different about her, but I think I didn't really start clocking that maybe something's really wrong until that shower scene. Because I was
Mhm.
like, her makeup would not be like that at all. So I did find that very interesting, and that is when I started realizing that there's something different about her.
Well, yeah, and that's what so much of that was so fun to kind of create these moments that would be like, we warned you, like we kind of planted it a little bit. And just kind of within that, choosing these things that imagining these not people, but these humanoids that are they look like us, but there's something a little bit off. And like, how would they show personality in any way they could, in the limited resources they're given? And like, something really fun with Lucas's character is that he has all of these tattoos, right? And we spoke about how, since his character is very into cooking, he was great to collaborate with because he wanted the tattoos to be kind of food centric. And we talked with Drew, our director, and it's like we picked out all these different tattoos that were like food themed in some ways that would make sense, almost like if, his partner was scrolling through all of the skins of the robot and he's like, oh, I like the idea of like this character having a lot of tattoos, and like let's make them kind of cool, like 50s but also food based. And so a fun thing that I talked with Drew about is I was like, I love that there is genuine love between those two characters. Like there actually is love between Patrick and Eli. And
Mhm.
what if among all of the tattoos that are clearly like pretty much stamped on, they're just part of his design, what if hidden among those tattoos is one that's hand poked? So clearly it would either be done by him or someone else, and it would be a sign that there was this part of him that was having autonomy and choosing to get a tattoo on his robot form that showed his love for Eli. And it was this hand poked heart with Eli's name in it. And you can actually see it like when he's cradling Eli, when Eli is like in his arms, and that's what you see as he's holding him. It's like the one thing that shows how how true their love was for each other is this tattoo that is set apart from all these other things that were just chosen for him. Like he wanted this one.
Oh, that's really amazing.
I'm gonna need to look at that. That's awesome.
And so we spoke with a manager, Jamie, and he mentioned how because of the strike, you had to stop filming for a while, and you had to
Mhm.
film in, like you said, 2 different seasons of the year. And I imagine that there is I mean, it happens with us. My skin gets lighter in the winter and then a little darker in the summer.
Mhm.
And so imagine you had to tackle some of those tricky issues when having to do the makeup for the actors. And so what were those challenges for you, and how did you go about them?
Well, it was interesting because, yeah, we had two very different climates. Like, we started the movie in the summer, so it was all about, for the robot characters, not letting them sweat, or at least not letting them be visibly sweating on camera, which was hard because we were in the woods. We were in like we'd be at the just out in the sun all day, on like the side of the road, and it would be one of those things where, okay, we have to try really hard to, first of all, like, not let them get sunburned, especially our robots. Like, when we, like, Patrick's character, Lucas, he was a little bit tanned. Like, his character was very kind of flawless tan. So it was about maintaining that the whole time. And, Sophie is so fair. So we're like, she can't get sunburned. It would be this whole process of like keeping her very protected the whole day. And then in the winter, it's sort of the opposite, right? Where everyone comes back and we're like, okay, we're maintaining that summer tan. But then the new issue is not the heat, but the wind chill factor and the chapped lips, and the fact that we would see everyone's breath sometimes, and it was like, oh God, what are we don't want it to be that distracting. And we didn't have to do this, but there is a trick for getting rid of like seeing breath in scenes, and it's so mean, but if you give someone an ice cube, then it levels out the temperature difference and you don't get the kind of breath show. But I never want to recommend it because it's so mean to be like, it's freezing, here's an ice cube. But if you ever needed to, that is the, like, movie magic trick to, like, two characters are talking in the winter and it's not supposed to be winter. But it was fun.
Wow.
Definitely
Oh
Sophie.
man.
Sophie is a beast. She is amazing. And the end of the movie where she's driving in the convertible, I remember we were in a follow van, right? Because we'd follow in a van, like the car, that was on a rig and it was driving around. And, we'd hop out every so often for touch-ups, especially since it was so cold. It would be like, do you need to blow, like, does anyone need to blow their nose? Like, what do we need to do? How's the wind chill? How are our pink cheeks in the winter? But in the middle of the shot, it started a snow squall, and she's just in a convertible, like driving, and it's just snowing. And I was like, oh my God. So we got the shot. Like, they ended up, the timing, it was very brief, but it was like, this girl has literally been through the like super hot summer, the coldest nighttime winters, and now she's driving a convertible in the snow.
Oh my
That is
God.
absolutely amazing. And it's been great to see how having film in these two different timelines has affected all different kind of departments,
Mhm.
because it takes a toll on the money, it takes a toll on
Yeah.
how you interact with the actors, in how you edit the film. So
Yeah.
it's really fun
Oh man.
to see how people tackle these issues. And so,
Absolutely.
as you mentioned, we spoke with Jeremy yesterday, and part of the SFX crew, and he mentioned how you guys have collaborated in multiple movies. And
Yeah.
do you find yourself to be interested in SFX and prosthetics as you go on and continue doing makeup, or do you like to stay in the lane you're on?
I honestly, I love the field that I'm in and the world I get to be in, because the so much of the fun for me is like the character makeup and the beauty makeup. And I love doing what we call them as out of kit effects. So it's more if there's a bruise or little scratches or some blood work and dirt, like, because that's what I would do for Sophie, is like the kind of dirt all over her body. And on on other characters, like on Smile, I would do Naomi's bruise makeup, but Jeremy would do all like the big crazy stuff, and that, I think, it is the coolest thing in the world, but it is 100% not even in my wheelhouse. I'm like, that is so amazing, and I love being able to work with him on it. But I think that that's why we work so well together too, is that Jeremy is so incredibly talented. And it's like such a delight to get to work with him and to get to combine our worlds together. Like, because I'll come in, I'll do the beauty makeup, and then he'll come in and kind of mess up, like do this gory mess on top of it, and it's beautiful, and it's such a fun kind of way to play off each other. But I'm very solidly happy in my a little bit, let's say, less messy world.
And I think it creates a great collaborative space in which I do my thing, you do your thing. Sometimes it kind of merges a little bit. Like we were talking with Micah, the set and the costume designer for the monkey, which just came out as well. And she was talking about how she had to go and do some prop work for one of the characters because it was a monkey that had to be dressed. So it's really cool to see how different departments start merging a little bit because of just that collaborative feeling that um, these kind of movies have.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I feel so lucky to work with Jeremy. I mean, we've done like a bunch of movies together at this point, and even on jobs where if there's no if there's no special effects, like we don't need anything like built for it. I'll still, if there's tattoos that need to be made, he's the one that makes all my tattoos, like, and so he prints them. It's this really cool process where he can design them and then like we'll show options to the director and then he prints them and they're like temporary tattoos but like 1,000 times stronger because they're made with Prozade or they're made with a makeup glue. And so even when even when we're not able to work on things like that require crazy special effects work, there's still always that ability to collaborate together, even in small ways. And I just think he's so phenomenal about what he does. He's so fun to be around. He's like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And he also loves his job. And that's like something that I think is so important. Like we kind of geek out together and talk about different things like and how we can work together and make this look like he shows me images of what he's looking to make for a character and I'll show him like what I'm looking for. And oftentimes, let's say he has to like break a hand open or something. I'll be like, well, here's her nails. So I'll just put the nails on the hand, like stuff like that. And it's just fun, like the different ways that you don't even realize that you kind of come together. And I feel really, really lucky to work so much with him.
And I think it shows that connection
Yeah.
definitely shows on the screen.
Yeah.
So we've heard a lot about unions, all the different varieties of unions that there are in film specifically. And so I'm just curious for someone that's involved with one, what's your experience been? Are there any pros and cons you can give us about being a part of one?
I mean, I love being in the union. I'm actually in two unions. I'm in the makeup union in New York, which is 798, as well as the union in LA, which is 706. And it's such an honor to be able to work in both. And I've found nothing but like the utmost support from other members and everyone sharing information and like talking to each other, helping each other out with questions about the contracts and anything. It really is like we call it, your brothers and sisters is in the IATSE world. And so you really do feel like you have people who are there to help you like navigate situations because everyone's been through something before you, right? So even if I had a question about a new contract or I had a question about something, even a technical question about breaking in a day or like a rate point, then I can even write on like the message board and a bunch of people will answer or I'll text, if I don't work as much in LA. So when I do, I have more questions about like, okay, what's different about the LA contracts? And so I'll call my friend who works in the union there and she's so helpful and like walks me through everything. And it just really is like you just feel not only this sense of protection, but support for each other. And it is so cool and it sort of opens up this whole world for you. Like just recently, Jeremy and I actually went to the Makeup and Hair Guild Awards in LA, and that's where it's an award ceremony like specifically for hair and makeup artists, and it's put on by local 706 in LA. And so just being in the room with that many talented artists, you realize first of all, how many people you're just blown away to get to meet, but also so many people who you've crossed paths with throughout your entire career. Like I ran into artists that I haven't seen in like 15 years. And I was sitting at a table with artists that I love their work. Like my dad made friends with the hair department head from Gladiator. And I was like, this is great. Like he's like, do you want some chicken? Like it's just very like I got to bring my dad and my husband and like Jeremy was there for his show Evil and we were there for Smile. And it was just like such a cool environment. And so I feel like things like that really make you proud to be in the union and have the union as such a great resource for artists. And it's important because there's so much stuff that you don't realize how much it helps to just feel like you're backed up, like you have someone that will fight for you, that knows all the rules, that you can kind of reach out to when you're on a job and you just might not know the answer. It's like you don't have to function in it alone. Like I definitely recommend, like, if you can, like, and the union is such a great part. It's so great to be a part of.
Kind of, we did obviously ask you what your favorite movies were last time, but we wanted to change up the question by
Yeah.
asking a movie you'd recommend solely based on the makeup in the film.
You know, I have to say, Hedwig and the Angry Inch is one of my favorite movies of all time, but also because of that makeup. It's John Cameron Mitchell. It's a character that he created for stage first. And first of all, the story is so beautiful and feels very poignant of the times of being yourself and the right to be yourself. And it's very much the makeup design in that is another character. Like, and that also tells the story. There's like these bright, beautiful colors. There's so much glitter. I remember when I was in school at Emerson, there was this one makeup theater class, and we got to turn ourselves into a character, and I turned myself into Hedwig. I was like, I want to be Hedwig. This iconic like blue glittery makeup, and it still sticks with me because it's so it's so loud and it's so unapologetic and it's such a choice. And when you know the whole story behind it, how it's this character that was really created, you know, by John Cameron Mitchell and his makeup artist, and like the story behind, you know, the whole importance of makeup in this world, of the performance, of being who you are. I definitely recommend it to anybody to watch because they just, you could tell when someone has fun at work, and seeing that movie and even seeing it on stage, like there's little differences that, you know, people will play with it. And it's just, I remember the first time ever seeing it, I was in high school and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. And it sticks with me to this day.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Sasha.
Yeah,
Where can people follow you? And we know that you're always hard at work. So where can people see your work next?
Yeah, so I mean, aside from Companion, I do have, I don't know when it'll come out, but I did People We Meet on Vacation, which I know we talked a little bit about. I'm very excited to see whenever that comes out, but I just wrapped a movie that was so much fun called Late Fame. So at some point, that will also be out. That was a beautiful, beautiful experience. So I'll definitely keep you posted when we have some release dates. But where to find me
for
would
sure.
just be Instagram, which is super easy. It's just Sasha Grossman. And I have some fun behind the scenes stuff from Companion right now, from Smile. And hopefully when I'm able to post other stuff from the next projects, then I'll post those too.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Sasha, for being
Yeah.
here. We loved chatting with you again. Hopefully we can have you again in the future.
Yeah.
You
I
know
love
the drill. If you wouldn't mind clapping us out, waiting for back to the episode, and then just thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I had so much fun with you guys and talking to you on your podcast. And cut.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Cut. You can follow us on all social media, starting with Instagram as Cut the podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube as That Film Couple, which is the same handle for TikTok, That Film Couple for short form content. You can also follow us on Twitch as Sebasparra1K. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, you can find us on any podcast platform as Cut ! Last but not least, you can follow me on Instagram as sebi.mp4.
And you can follow me at caitlin.mp4.
Thank you so much for being here one more week, and we'll see you in the next one.
Give her up.